Welcome to Indianapolis in the Fox NFL Pre-Kick presented by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. The Jacksonville Jaguars, winners of 6 in a row, have a shot at the South if they win their last couple games and guarantee it. Phillip Rivers trying to stand in their way. The Indianapolis Colts playing host on this Sunday afternoon. We welcome inside. Hope you had a great Christmas. Joe Davis and Greg Olson. The Jags, after going 4-13 last year, aren't just going back to the playoffs, but with the way they've looked lately and with how wide open things are this year, they look like as good a bet as anybody to make a run at the whole thing.
Yeah, and it all started with the vision of making sure they understood, all right, how do we get the best out of Trevor Lawrence? You look back on that head coaching search about a year ago, they settle on Liam Cohen, and what he has brought to this organization, the ability to run a quarterback-friendly system, bring out the best in the former first overall pick, the future of this franchise, and here we are in week 17 on the brink of the playoffs, and it looks like they hit a home run.
A month ago, we were saying the same thing about Indianapolis. They were the #1 seed a little more than a month ago, but they've fallen off a cliff, officially eliminated yesterday. If that can all be the case, and you can have the best feel-good story in the league this year, that is the case because Phillip Rivers has come out of retirement.
Yeah, and I don't even know if it's just the best story in sports. It might be the best story of the year. I mean, to watch a guy just come back out of retirement. His final season was my final season. I promise not coming back. But just the way he's captured the attention of the country, captured the attention of his young teammates, it's an incredible story. It won't have the fairy tale ending, but you can't just say enough good things about Phillip Rivers.
It was neat that he was on the field in Seattle, and then he played really well against San Francisco on Monday. Now he'll try and end the Colts' losing streak with a couple weeks left and try and end the Jags' winning streak as they look for a 7th consecutive win. Opening kickoff is next. Our players to watch brought to you by Nationwide. The running backs for these two teams, Travis Etienne, a yard away from 1,000 for the year. And how about the season Jonathan Taylor's having, leading the NFL with 19 touchdowns. Week 17 from Indianapolis in Lucas Oil Stadium. The Jags and the Colts. Jags in first place in the South. If they win today and against Tennessee next week, they will clinch the South Division. But Houston keeping the pressure on. If the Jags were to lose one of the last 2 games and Houston wins next week, Houston in the driver's seat, they would win the tiebreaker in the South. Just about set for opening kick. Down to the field. Here's Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, it seems the days of flying under the radar are pretty much over for Jacksonville. A team that's won 11 games is headed to the playoffs as a quarterback that is playing lights out, cannot be overlooked. Head coach Liam Cohen, well, he believes in respect, and he wants his guys to kind of go out and earn it. When it comes to respect, Cohen told us the only way to get it in this league is to take it. He went on to say, we have some pretty darn good wins along the way. The team continues to take it game at a time, and respect is not going to come until we absolutely take it. 11 wins, well, we have accomplished a ton, but there is plenty more left to do.
Yeah, Pam, you said it right there. Last week against Denver, that was a Broncos team that had won 11 consecutive games, and they went in there and really solidified their standing as one of the top teams in the NFL. They would not get him killed. They ran the ball a bunch, but then they cut him loose against San Francisco Monday, and he looked great.
Yeah, and I think kind of the concern the entire country had when they heard that was probably the same concerns Phillip Rivers told us he had. He's like, listen, but I think I could throw it. Yeah, he's like, I didn't want to get hurt, and I certainly didn't want to just be terrible. And he goes, first game, we kind of shortened it, didn't get asked to do a whole lot. Then that week, too, man, they opened it up, and he looked fantastic.
277 yards, 2 touchdowns in that loss against the 49ers. Back-to-back work. As they've won 6 consecutive games, that is lined up with Trevor Lawrence putting it all together. 14 touchdowns, no interceptions over the last 4.
This is exactly what Jacksonville had in mind when they brought in Liam Cohen. They understood they needed to bring in an offensive play caller, someone who understood developing young quarterbacks, a track record of all the previous stops, getting high-level quarterback play. And here we are in week 17, best ball of Trevor Lawrence's career, and one of the big reasons they're on their way to the playoffs.
Highest scoring offense in franchise history. He was stopped very quickly. Impromptu Christmas vacation for the Rivers family. So we're used to it. Spent a whole life playing football on Christmas Day and around it, but this one was not planned, and so they've got a rental house up here in Indianapolis. His family of 12, plus his brother, plus his parents, plus his grandkid, all jammed in there making the most of it. Wouldn't it be something if they just stayed in the suite? Like that was just where they spent Christmas here for Jacksonville. So Philip, the last 5 years after retiring, has been the head coach at St. Michael's in Fairhope, Alabama, and a bunch of the kids from the team came up to watch the game today, and Philip was visiting with them a couple hours before the game. They had a great year. They were 13-1, lost in the state semifinals. Philip not just coaching, he's dominating as a coach. In 5 seasons at St. Michael, a 43-15 record, and he's got his son Gunnar as a highly recruited quarterback. He'll be a senior next year. So 2nd and 8 here. Lessons for his kids, but I think lessons for anybody that's watching, that you don't have to play it safe.
Absolutely, and I think, listen, there's not a guy who retires from this league that a few years out from playing in their hearts doesn't sit back and say, I wonder if, right? I wonder if I could still do it physically, mentally. Could you get yourself up every day and go through that grind? And here in his 3rd start of this comeback tour, I think the answer for Philip Rivers is you can still play.
You said your kids inspired them to ask you, could you go catch one pass, Dad?
And the answer was a flat-out no.
And he go from the veteran to Trevor Lawrence, the 1st overall pick in 2021, the prince that was promised. Yes, you get taken as the 1st pick. It is a promise that you're going to get the franchise back to the top. 11-4 this season. They're going 22-38 coming in, and you know, first part of the season, it was a struggle as he tried to get his footing in this new offense, but has hit his stride in a big way. 14 touchdowns, no turnovers the last 4 games. Historically good stuff. His name right there with Tom Brady and the efficiency numbers over the last 4 games. A lot of reasons the Jaguars have had this big turnaround this season. He's right at the top of the list, though. Yard line. Time for a game break. Here's Carissa Thompson.
Thank you, Joe. Browns trying to play spoiler. Steelers clinch the AFC North with a win. Shador Sanders puts this one up. Harold Fannin makes a great adjustment. Comes down with a 28-yard score. Steelers would add a field goal, but Browns sell up 10-3 on Pittsburgh. Joe.
You got the Ravens after upsetting the Packers at Lambeau last night, watching that game closely, hoping and praying that their rival, the Browns, can come up with a win and set up a winner-take-all division game next Sunday. Ravens and Steelers for the lone playoff spot still in question in the AFC. Well, the Jaguars have not been to the playoffs since 2022. Last season, Doug Peterson's last year, they go 4-13. This year they were 5-4, but have won 6 games in a row, sit in 1st place in the division. Problem is that the only team that's won more games in a row than the Jaguars have, the team hot on their tail in the AFC South, the Texans, with an 8th consecutive win, starting with that comeback win against Cohen's Jags back at the beginning of November. And so Jacksonville needs to win the last 2 games to guarantee that they win the South. A loss would open the door for the Texans. Wildcat right here, right there for Logan Cook. Oh, we're talking about Philip Rivers and Shane Steichen, the relationship back to the Chargers, 2014, when Steichen was a quality control coach. This is a big reason why Rivers came back. Shane Steichen called and said, "You got anything left in that arm?" And he said, "Well, I haven't thrown to a moving target in 5 years, and I don't have any turf shoes, but sure, let's give it a try. Anything for you, bud." And he said that's part, Philip said this is part of why this has been so tough for him, even though he's not as invested as these guys, hasn't been here the whole ride. Knowing how hard this has been for his good buddy Shane Steichen to see the losing continue is why it's such a conflicted feeling where he's having the time of his life coming back, but he sees the suffering around him. It's coming up at halftime.
Coming up on the Verizon Halftime, the regular season is winding down. The playoff push is on, and every position matters. Terry, Howie, Michael, and Gronk are locked in, studying every angle from this morning's full slate of games as teams fight for their position in the postseason. We'll have the highlights and more right here at the half.
Act like you like each other, guys. Let's get a big couch and watch it together.
Pratt makes it pay.
2 things that have been sparkling for the Jaguars during this winning streak that deserted them today. Taking care of the ball and in the red zone. 2 turnovers, both of them coming in the red zone, and they trail 10-7 as they try to hang on at the top of the AFC South. First half stats brought to you by Allstate. Well, it's today's game flow presented by Progressive as we welcome you back inside Lucas Oil Stadium, where the Colts are trying to pull off the upset. They have a 10-7 lead over the Jaguars. Joe Davis and Greg Olsen, and a lot of the things that were leading the Jags to the 6-game winning streak they were missing in that first half.
Yeah, of course, the initial fumble on the opening red zone opportunity. They tried a little hook and ladder, a little trickery. Travis Etienne drops the ball, and then there, having an opportunity to double dip, get a touchdown right before the half, knowing they're going to get the ball to start the third. Just kind of doesn't get enough air on that back shoulder, and Pratt makes a nice play. So turnovers, red zone, got to clean it up here in the second half.
On the return, here comes DJ Dallas to the 36-yard line. Still work to be done for this Jaguars team, trying to solidify the division. And yeah, 2 turnovers, both coming in the red zone. That was on their first drive. And then the last drive of the first half, with the Jags looking for their first lead of the day, Lawrence gets intercepted by Pratt. First interception he's thrown in his last 5 games. It had been 15 touchdowns, no turnovers the last 4+ games before that. How about this? This is the first time all year that a team has had 2 red zone turnovers in the first half. Ooh, for a touchback. Phillip Rivers and the Colts trying to pull off the upset, taking the field for the first time in the second half. Looking for that all-elusive first win in his comeback.
Yeah, so the superpower early in the season was his ability to get more than what was blocked. And you'll see there's a real clean line. The first 10 weeks, he was on MVP type of campaign. And now these last 5 games, much slower, much less production. Obviously, the touchdowns down considerably. So yards before contact, like you said, are actually up. It's the forced missed tackles that are down.
Well, the Pro Bowl rosters were announced earlier this week. Players from these teams that were selected: Jonathan Taylor, his 3rd, Quentin Nelson, 8th season, 8th Pro Bowl. And how about for the 11-win first-place Jags? They get 1 Pro Bowler, and it's their long snapper, and Ross Madison. We talked with Liam Cohen about that. He said, look, it's kind of more the same. We haven't had to manufacture motivation. We got a team full of guys that feel like they've had stuff to prove. We feel like people have been waiting for us to fall off and lose pretty much all year. It's just the latest evidence of that, just the 1 Pro Bowler.
Jacksonville, the community, Duval. Just thankful that, you know, a small market team like us can come into a place like Mile High and get it done. We're just a small market team, baby.
Yeah, so Denver head coach Sean Payton last week mentioned they're a small market team. It's a fact. They're a small market team, but they're going to generate whatever they can there, turn that into a bulletin board material. Fed off of that, got the big road win. Here's action for 4. Stop by Mitchell. Here's Carissa.
Thank you, Joe. Seattle, current #1 seed in the NFC, up 10-3 on the Panthers. Sam Darnold will find A.J. Barner. Gets a nice block and in for the 17-yard score. Seahawks lead the Panthers 17-3. Joe.
We got the update from Carissa. Seattle with a 17-3 lead on Carolina, trying to hang on to that 1 seed, trying to hang on to the division. You got 3 teams out west who could make a claim for the 1 seed, with the 49ers and the Rams as well. The one thing still to be decided is the South. The Panthers down 2 scores right now, which would keep things alive for Tampa Bay next week. Even though Tampa Bay is losing to Miami, if Carolina loses, next week is for the division as those teams go head-to-head. And Cohen giving him his first chance as a defensive coordinator, but you look at the first-year head coaches that have turned things around. Ben Johnson taking the last-place Bears, has them on the verge of their first division title in 7 years. Jaguars from 4-13 to 11-4. And Mike Vrabel, while not a first-time head coach in his first season as the head coach in New England, takes them from 4-13 to 12 wins. And cruising today against the Jets, 42-10, New England in front. This is one, though, I think that flew under the radar. The other 2, Ben Johnson, that was the star in the offseason when it comes to coaching hires. We already knew about Mike Vrabel. Liam Cohen, for a lot of people, was like, wait, who? And even a month plus into the season, they were around 500, but have caught fire. on after this game break with Carissa.
Thank you, Joe. And keeping you guys updated on this game. Panthers down 17-3. Bryce Young keeps it on the read option, gets into the 10-yard score. Panthers make it a one-score game until 17-10 to the Seahawks. Joe?
Well, Shane Steichen's team, you got to figure it was like a punch in the gut yesterday after all this struggling, all this losing, to then watch the Texans beat the Chargers. They're not playing for anything anymore, but you wouldn't know it watching them today.
No, and I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I mean, I give these fans a lot of credit. It's been loud. There's a lot of energy in the building. And listen, I've been there, right? Those last couple weeks of the season, you have nothing technically left to play for, but there's a lot of guys with incredible pride. Don't think this game doesn't matter to Phillip Rivers. He's out there talking trash and spirit. I mean, you learn a lot about your team in moments like this. It's easy to play hard when you're 8-2. It's easy to play hard when you're the #1 seed. How about after a disappointing finish to the season and you're expected to come out here and put on a good performance?
Trying to spoil things for Lawrence and the Jags today. Looking at a 3rd and 4. Coming up next, our NFL doubleheader continues. America's Game of the Week, can't miss matchup. Maybe a Super Bowl preview. The defending champion Eagles, Josh Allen and the Bills. Is it the Bills year? The path finally clear with no Patrick Mahomes standing in their way. You got one of the best offensive teams in the Bills, one of the best defensive teams in the Eagles. And it all comes up on Fox next. Spoiler, Phillip Rivers looking for a win in this comeback in this football odyssey. 2003 is the ACC Player of the Year, drafted by the Chargers in 04, spent 16 seasons there. That's where he first paired up with Shane Steichen. He was in Indy in 2020. That's the last time the Colts went to the playoffs. And then he went and coached. Dominated as a coach, 43-15. And I shouldn't say that in past tense because that's what he's going back to as soon as this magic carpet ride, this little dream stretch comes to an end. With his family watching, his family all here, 10 kids, a grandkid, his parents, his brother. Hands it off to Jonathan Taylor at this drive, and it winds under 3. A game break with Carissa.
Let's do it, Joe. Letting you guys know what's coming up next. Eagles already clinched the NFC East, but they're on the road in Buffalo looking to extend their winning streak to 3 games, but will have to go through Josh Allen. And the Bills still fighting for that division crown and the #1 seed in the AFC. It's all coming up next. It's America's Game of the Week. Joe?
Looks like a little rainfall in there in Buffalo. NFC South still to be decided at the very top of it. The Jaguars, if they win out this game and next week against Tennessee, they'll be division champs. Houston, though, with 8 consecutive wins, starting with their comeback win against Jacksonville. They're hoping for one little slip-up, and then if they were to beat Indianapolis next week, they would win the division because of the tiebreaker. With the better division record, Indy's going to have a big say in this, facing the 2 teams fighting for it over the last 2 weeks. This one here, and then finishing up against Houston next week. You got Seattle on the verge of a 6th consecutive win. They're up 17 with 2 minutes to go in Carolina. That makes Carolina and Tampa Bay next week for the NFC South. 49ers have put their 5-game winning streak on the line tonight against Chicago. One more update with Carissa.
Let's do it, Joe. Steelers trying to clinch the AFC North with the win, down 7 to the Browns, 4th and goal. Aaron Rodgers' pass falls incomplete. Browns win 13-6. Steelers-Ravens will play for the division title next week. Joe?
All right, sets up primetime matchup next week. And Mike Prayer, by the way, says that is the right call there. Not enough for a penalty. And so the Browns pull off that big upset. And fly to the end zone. Alec Pierce had a shot at it, but not going to get it. The job's finished. The Jaguars hang on. Well, there are a few defenders down there in the end zone. Antonio Johnson, the one that comes up with a pick. Jacksonville's a win away from winning the South.
Just didn't quite have enough time to get all the receivers in the area. It was really just one guy there and Pierce, and you can see the rest of the crew just hadn't quite caught up to him yet. Pierce certainly the fastest guy, but what a performance by Jacksonville. Critical plays by Trevor Lawrence, and this Jacksonville defense, they just continue to get better and better along this win streak.
And Liam Cohen becomes the first head coach ever to take over a 4-win team and win